allowed people to vote on each item on there. So I apologize for that, for misunderstanding what you were asking tonight. I just want to say that, the misinformation about just about everything, we heard a mix of it tonight. I just want to say again that critical race theory is an approach. It is not a curriculum. Any educator can deliver instruction in a way that is ineffective, that is misunderstood, and that can be inappropriate. And that's just happened over time. And it's unfortunate that we're not having a discussion about a thing that we're trying to ban, that we don't have conversation about what it is. But that, the decisions that have been made in this country weren't just decisions made at that time and didn't end there. I want to read a couple of things. Benjamin Franklin said, "Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red?" This came from an essay, from him. This is a quote from him in 1751. Thomas Jefferson said, "I advanced it, therefore, as a suspicion only that the blacks, whether originally a distinct race or made distinct by time or circumstances, are inferior to the whites in the endowments of both body and mind." Abraham Lincoln says, "There is a physical difference between the white and the black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together. While they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior, and I, as much as any man, am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race." Now, who labeled who? And who had the legal governmental power to institutionalize that for centuries? It is reckless and ridiculous to suggest that people want to harm white children, to tell them that they're the oppressors. But when we do not give children the proper contextual information, how do they understand that neighborhoods that were redlined? I live in a neighborhood in 1936, the Homeowners Loan Corporation, which was a government-sponsored agency, issued redlining maps that said neighborhoods that were predominantly black were at risk, that you don't make loans, you don't develop infrastructure, and you don't build here. 3 out of 4 neighborhoods that were redlined 80 years ago, such as my neighborhood, struggles economically today. And when they struggle economically, the schools suffer, the health suffers, public safety suffers, the value of the home suffer, access to food and transportation suffer. So children absorb the images and the information around them, and it doesn't matter what you say to them. So if we don't interrupt the physical built environment that was built with race-based decisions, it was embedded in law for centuries. Civil rights laws passed in 1965. I was 3. Fair housing law said that you couldn't do that in 1968. I was 6. Largest redlining settlement in the history of the country, 2015. I was in my 50s. So this didn't end just because Dr. Contreras is here, just because Mark Robinson is the lieutenant governor, just because Barack Obama was the president. This has been institutionalized and enshrined in law. And critical race theory invites people to examine that intersection. And when we don't do that, it is children of color, black children, indigenous children, Mexican children, who have been given doll tests and asked them which doll is pretty, which doll is nice, which doll is smart. And overwhelmingly for a century, they have picked the white doll because they have internalized these messages. And lastly, Frederick Hoffman, I think I brought him up before. He was a leading statistician of his time. In 1898, wrote a 330-page document on race traits and tendencies of the American Negro. He was a strong proponent of racial hierarchy and white supremacy, and he went on to found the American Lung Association. At the time, it was the National Tuberculosis Association and the American Cancer Society. And Prudential hired him to justify not insuring or over-insuring Black people. So the Federal Housing Administration discriminated based on race. The military discriminated based on race. The educational system discriminated on the basis of race. And then to turn around and act like we're all equal now, that those laws fixed the damage, the glacial damage that had been done, is absurd. And it is misleading, and it is making other children and white children feel bad, not knowing the truth. So I am in favor of having a conversation and examining this and finding the most appropriate ways to be honest about our past so that we can understand where we are and that we can chart a path going forward. So those are my closing comments. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Of course not.
Good night. Thank you.
Of course.